Before you ask, yes, this is indeed a desperate cry for help. Good morning, Hurricane. My name is Vincubus, and this is TheAltPath. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new, welcome back. And it's time for a review of everyone's favorite game to talk about, but never touch. The 9th main series Five Nights at Freddy's game, and the second to be produced by Steelwool. I am of course talking about Security Breach. I shouldn't need to tell you this, but this game is legendarily bad, and even though I can't deny there are parts of it that to this day I still like, even its staunchest defenders are well aware of that big looming asterisk. Like, this is the game that single-handedly sobered the Five Nights at Freddy's fanbase into being critical of what's fed to them. Not critical enough, as we'll get into. Speaking of... much better. This thing is borderline indefensible, and beyond that, it's also by far the highest grossing of the games. Like, when people think FNAF, they think Security Breach and the movie. And despite my misgivings about this franchise, I'm still the one who winds up telling people, no, you don't understand. It's not usually like this. And not just because it was like retconned out of existence, but also because the story it was telling sucked to begin with. My crash out about that is very well documented if you want to watch that. But putting all that aside, and also ruined because I can't even believe that runs on the same engine as this hunk of shit, I'm legitimately feeling like a generous 2 on this. Make no mistake, this did not come out of nowhere. There were warning signs all over the dev cycle. There's the obvious stuff, like this being by far the biggest FNAF title there's ever been, or how they made it mostly through COVID. There was the year-long delay, and the trailers revealing so little for so long. And what they did give away was either changed, looked pretty bad.
These security cameras look like they're out of like a PlayStation 1 style game. I'm assuming this isn't the real graphics.
Or worse yet, just wasn't in the final game. And it came out after the fact that not only did this thing have like no budget.
Did they run out of budget for the animation?
But the ambition in this project did not respect that at all.
We did an overhead view of the whole building. And then we handed that off to our sets guys and they made a 3-story building. And then we were like, we're gonna keep it.
And side note, Switch version of this game is 9 gigabytes. What the fuck? But let's look at all of the obvious mistakes that I noticed in my playthrough. There's a lot of voice-acted lines in this game, but half of them are bugged, and so characters say the same 2 things over and over again forever. And that's if they get any screen time at all. Vanny shows up in only 2 places in the entire game, and one of them is totally missable. There's other things too, like where Vanessa says, "Come to the stage after 6. And if you do, nothing happens. Is that supposed to be a trap? Was it a cut quest line? I don't know. She still says it. I guess it's the pull my finger of bad endings. I don't know. And even the levels aren't safe. L-Chips was cut in half, and that place still loads slower than a Civil War era musket.
This game is really struggling.
Even in presentation, this thing leaves a lot to be desired. The Pizzaplex is so bright, and while I love living in it as just a place to be, you spend half the game running back and forth in completely undecorated service tunnels anyway. So pretty much every visual design aesthetic in this game is unfortunately not scary. And weirdly enough, the details that follow you everywhere seem to be the ones that have had the least care put into them. And the cameras... do forget it. The Terminator walking holds up better than those cameras do. And that was a real robot in front of a real camera 40 years ago. Even the watch looked better before, and it actually told time. And some of these nerfings would be fine if they were in service of a more functional game, but, you know.
Bug! I found one! What the hell?
Even from a design standpoint, the lack of care is just baffling. Why on the Gator Golf path do you get a camera and then Monty is completely immune to it? What purpose does that serve? Or how about how there's an achievement for beating the whole game without ever hiding because they know it's pointless? Or how about how there's save stations, like, everywhere, except where you feel like you'd want them? There are still walkbacks that are so long. The one quick save the game actually gives you is still like 2 minutes away from the important thing. Which, by the way, totally optional. All you have to do is get down there. You don't have to beat to get all achievements. So I didn't, because fuck that noise. And I'm tilting. Despite these criticisms, you could still make the case that all those things that I just said, right? They're pretty much all technical. There's a lot of reasons why this thing was kind of always going to be shoddy. But as long as the heart of your project is still beating, there will always be some sort of nexus to gravitate to, some sort of vision to appreciate. But I would argue this game even fails at that. Five Nights at Freddy's, in broad strokes, is the most approachable horror property ever. It launched the mascot horror boom, its characters are based on children's entertainment, and at a certain point it's kind of become a horror comedy. So why oh why is this installment, again, something that's supposed to be for everybody, so poorly optimized that it requires a $5,000 PC to run? Because it certainly wasn't for user experience, right? There's no world where this should have been a ray tracing game. I played this game on the lowest graphic settings and I still had crazy frame drops and had a terrible time. The obvious answer to that question about who it's for, by the way, is it's for YouTubers. Because they're not trying to sell copies, they're trying to make a good movie you can watch. And while in some respects I gave Secret of the Mimic a pass for this, it is because they went to such great lengths to make this thing cinematic that it has become the internet's favorite whipping boy. And I just don't think that's worth critical praise. Subjective praise, however. Oh yeah. Yep, despite my best efforts, I just can't bring myself to hate this game. Steel Wool's extremely goofy way of telling their story was cute and endearing. Look no further than all the characters' Kellen Goff voices. Freddy himself is probably the best example of this. Even some of the story beats, like Princess Quest showing up. Sure, actually playing it is a pain in the fucking ass, but it showing up is cool. Same thing with everybody's favorite, Music Man! He's just big. That's the bit. He's just really large, and that's enough. And once you figure out Mazer size, though, how would you ever? It's fun. I like slide puzzles. I'm fucking weird that way. As it turns out, there's a whole post-game. So, like, fuck me, you know, but also, after they added the save station, I like it. I like how it becomes an extraction shooter without guns. Like, getting as many gifts as you think you can before booking it back to the stage. It's fun! When you die and lose 20 minutes of progress, you want to jump out of a fucking window, but if it works the first time, it feels great. And I know that with any other game, I'd be ripping this game a new asshole over this, but we're talking about positives right now. And that's kind of the best I got. Like, the lack of direction, dude, I got lost so fucking much. And a lot of that is the fault of me playing it on low graphic settings. Like, for example, I had to look up how to beat Monty, and it turned out that giant blob I was ignoring was actually a dump bucket. Like, look at what I was... How the fuck was I supposed to know that? The thing with a horror game is that the amount of direction you get is very important. You want something to be intuitive enough that you can figure it out, but not so obvious that while you're doing it, you feel like you're gonna be okay. You have to feel like you're in the middle of conscribing your own death note while you work, and there are a couple of moments in this game where that's genuinely helmed beautifully. The Music Man segment in the play place is, up until that point, the single best thing FNAF had ever done. So scary, so tense, so confusing, you feel so helpless. I remember on try 10 when I finally did it, I just kind of sat back and realized oh my god, I just had so much fun. I didn't even realize it. Why are there generators in the children's play structure? Shut up and have fun. Happy Halloween. I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette. Don't do drugs. Ruin's actually good, by the way. Like a 7 out of 10.